And welcome to Taking Care of Business Today, featuring Klodowski Real Estate. We want to start off by letting everybody know this is a paid program. Opinions expressed during the program are that of Klodowski Real Estate, not WBEV or Good Karma Brands. Chris, Abby, we just came off a big Memorial Day weekend.
Yes.
Now, is this a different weekend for you guys because of real estate? Do people stop selling homes because it's the Memorial Day weekend?
I would say it quiets down.
It was great.
Okay.
I did showings over the weekend and got an accepted offer for a buyer. But it definitely, even listing wise, usually you see your new listings come on late, fixed up, late Wednesday, maybe Thursday, maybe Friday. Much quieter with the holiday weekend.
Well, it's good to know that you guys are able to breathe a little bit, because I know the market right now is crazy. Stuff's moving very fast. We had a little bit of a off-the-air conversation with our good friend Wade Bates, who asked, is there not a lot out there? And you guys are like, oh, we have lots of listings, but they pretty much all have accepted offers at this point. So stuff doesn't sit on the market for too long from the sound
Correct.
of it.
We do have a couple. We have one at N8612 South Shore Crest Road, town of Westford, Beaver Dam address. 3-bedroom, 2 full bath, tri-level. It has a 3-car heated attached garage, and then also a newer detached garage plumbed for heat. And that's on the market at $450,000. It's 0.91 acres. Are you able to mention your new listing?
Yes. We have one coming up. It'll go on the MLS tomorrow, so you'll see it on our website, on our Facebook, all that good stuff. It's on County Road FW. There's not lake frontage. However, the house sits on a parcel that sits behind farmers' land. So you see a lot of the house is pretty high up, so you see a lot of the lake. So there's nothing between you and the lake, but it's not technically water frontage. That is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house that has a shop with in-floor heat. So
Nice.
that
I
would be
feel
an
like that's a
exciting
great
one.
way to get lakeside living without paying lakeside pricing.
Yes, it is.
Okay, I'm starting to learn a little bit here.
Yeah.
So I want to start off by reminding everybody to check out, of course, you guys have your website, which has all your information on it. It tells people how to contact you. Shows a lot of the listings that are available in the area, but that's not necessarily the ones that are available without accepted offers, right?
It will show, because our website, first I'd like to note, if you come to our website, when you want to start clicking around, it does ask you to register. And that is just the company that does our website. Unless you send us a message or click on a tab that says, I want a market analysis of my property, or I want an agent to contact me, or I request a showing, we are not going to be calling and texting you. So rest assured of that. It's not like when you click on a contact agent on Zillow.com. And we link right to the MLS. So it updates as regularly as the MLS. So as soon as we hit the save button in the MLS, which is MLS stands for Multiple Listing Service. That's where all realtors put their listings in. As soon as we hit the save button and it's in the MLS, it is also on our website. So just like when the status of a property is changed to indicate that there's an accepted offer, same, you will find that on our website.
Now, even though there's an accepted offer, it doesn't mean necessarily it gets pulled from the MLS until paperwork's signed. Is that right?
Until you've sold the property, it remains in the MLS.
Until the dollars have changed hands.
Right.
Yeah.
How often do you get to that side of paperwork and things fall through on today's day and age? Is it common?
I feel like it's less common than when I started in real estate. In part, there are more people writing cash offers. And a cash offer does not necessarily mean that you're going to pay cash for the property. You may still be financing. But a cash offer states that generally it's within 7 days you have a letter from someone that holds your funds, be it a financial advisor, a bank, stating you have the funds to purchase that house as of that date. You can still finance, but also the people that waive the opportunity to have a home inspection done. That's a common area where a transaction can fall apart. Like say there's an inspection and it's not uncommon to find ungrounded outlets in a little older houses. The electricians that I've seen come through, most of them say as long as you're not plugging in, it's something that needs a ground. Like our phone chargers, it's just a 2-prong type of item. But like if you're plugging in a TV or computer, you want that grounded 3-prong outlet. Some buyers could care less if it's an ungrounded outlet. And then there's some buyers that are like, I don't want to buy this house unless they change that. So if the buyer and seller can't agree to credit or price reduce or get that taken care of, that's commonly where you may see something fall apart. But without a home inspection contingency, I feel like there's less transactions that fall apart.
You're also not, I feel like a lot of lenders now, like there was a time, I know like when we got first pre-approved, they just took our word of mouth for like what we made, all those things. And now I think a lot of lenders are underwriting even before you have an accepted offer so that they know what you can actually afford, not what we could hypothetically afford.
Right.
So financing falls apart less often.
Yeah,
Right,
they
'cause-
run the credit checks and all of that in advance. So, I mean, it's not uncommon to have someone pre-approved that, like, really all the lender needs is the actual property address and an appraisal, whereas the buyers are all done with their end of things with them already.
Because we could all say we have a mid-six-figure salary and really not come anywhere near that.
And
Yep.
until you're actually filling out that mortgage application, and you have to be honest.
Right. Makes sense. I do want to mention you guys' Facebook page as well. I actually love your guys' Facebook page because you guys are fairly active on there with stuff. Obviously, if you're looking at the video stream right now, you can see you guys had a post up for Memorial Day. But you had some other stuff up that I wanted to ask about that I saw. One, I saw you actually had kind of a little video tour you did, Chris, of a house.
Yeah, that one on Shorecrest, yep.
Which I think is awesome. So that's another way to kind of get a look at a home without physically getting out and looking at the home. Because nowadays with our busy schedules, we can't always find the time. Although you guys tend to be pretty flexible with people as far as getting out and
Oh,
looking
yeah,
at places.
we're 7 day a week, morning, evening, yeah.
I did see it said for your business hours on Facebook. It says always open.
Really.
And that's the truth.
Really.
Hopefully not a lot of 2 a.m. phone calls, but glad to see you guys are there for the people. The other thing I saw is you guys gave a little shout out to somebody on your team, and I felt this was great, and I love this. Bob Klodowski.
Yes.
Tell everybody about Bob.
Bob, we should have told him to listen.
He probably is listening.
He can listen back too. So
Bob is my ex-husband, Abby and Adam's dad. He was a lifelong man at John Deere that worked a bajillion hours a week his whole life and then retired
boy.
the month before we opened Klodowski Real Estate.
Yep.
which means boredom set in quick for him.
Really, and then in January,
And it was in the winter.
retired.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sorry, Bob.
So we asked Bob if he would like to be our sign installer. So we hired Bob to, when we have a new listing, like Abby sent out a text to our group chat today saying, hey, the sign goes up here on this day, sign comes down on this property on this day. But I gave him a shout out because this property on Shorecrest, you have to turn off a County Road G onto CP and you get back in there. And as things are growing with all this blessed rain we've had, there's tall grass all over on the sides. And it looked cleared, and yeah, sure enough, Bob took his weed whacker out there to whack down the tall grasses so our directional arrows could be seen for people trying to find the property. And yeah, he's always, it's not uncommon for us to text him the day of a sign needs to go up or down. And he gets right on it. We appreciate him.
I was just saying, I saw it was great because he talked about how, like, after the bad weather, he went out and checked the signs and make
Yep.
sure everything
Yeah, he
looked
always
good.
does.
All that fun stuff. So, Bob, a little bit of love for you today. A little shout out for you. The other thing I saw in there was 2 different listings. Now, you didn't mention one of them when you were talking about listings, so this one maybe already has an offer on it. I don't
Already
know.
has an accepted offer on the other one, yep.
But I was looking at the vast difference between the two, and I was hoping maybe you could help explain it a little bit for people. So the first one I saw, like just with the rough numbers, 4-bedroom, 1.5 bath, over 1,700 square feet, just a little over 1,700 square feet, 140,000. But it sounds like it was in town.
In town, correct.
The other one you had mentioned, the 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2,200 square feet, the big garage, all that, but lakeside.
Not lakeside, just deeded lake access. There's a pedestrian path that takes you down to the water.
Okay,
yes.
so yeah, but in that closer vicinity to
Yeah.
the lake, yeah. Price point between the two, 140,000 for one, 450,000 for the other. Not a huge size difference. Semi-similar specs. Is location really that important for this, or
Location
is there also
and condition
Okay.
are very important. The one that was at 140,000 was a rental property, corner parcel, no garage, and again has been used as a rental. Yeah,
Not a lot of updating. and it could use some TLC.
Now, I'm guessing also a lot difference between the two as far as size of lot. You had mentioned,
Yeah, the other one is a 0.91 acre, landscaped fruit trees. Yeah, like I said, the 3-car garage. They got the big wood pile, the detached 2-car garage, concrete paver patio in the back, fenced area in the back, so you can let the dog out the back door, a sunroom, all that good stuff.
so for anybody out there who's digging through the MLS or looking on your website and looking at homes, they might look at these homes and say, well, they're both very similar. I don't understand. But there is a lot that goes on. They should really dig deeper.
And when we do a buyer consultation, we talk about that. And it sometimes takes getting your feet wet. Like when you have two properties, same square footage, and one's 300,000 and one's 150,000. When you walk through them and you see what potentially you would want to do to the $150,000 house to make it equivalent to the $300,000 house, you kind of get an understanding of where the difference is.
Wonderful. Now, that leads me to another question I have, because we live in a wonderful part of the world called Wisconsin. Mm-hmm. We have 4 seasons, although lately it's felt like rain is the only season we've had. Do you guys find that people shy away from corner properties or lots with large sidewalks because of winter? Is that something people even think about or question when they talk to you?
Yeah, it depends very much on the person, which is why there's somebody for each house. But some people, I have a couple right now that's looking that they winter in, I think, Florida. And so they own a house now here, but they would like to buy a house that has no sidewalks. So that's not something they need to take care of when they're away all winter.
Say at my current house up in Waupun has no sidewalks. I'm very happy for that.
Sure.
So it's just a driveway, and I feel good about it. My next question, I guess, has to do with for somebody who's selling a house. I was talking recently with a buddy of mine who lives currently in Utah. He's looking at selling and moving back to the Midwest. And he was very upset because he brought a realtor in. The realtor looked over the house with him, gave him a number, and they thought that number was just astronomically too low. And I said, well, you got to remember, that's your house. You love that house. You're valuing it a certain way. Mm-hmm. And then I thought, well, I'm going to be talking with Klodowski's here, and I guarantee they've probably seen this before.
Sure, and sometimes, interesting, we'll never get a conversation about this in the drive here. The seller always sets their list price. What we do is a market analysis, and some people choose to interview a few realtors, one, just to get a smattering of what their recommendation would be, but also to see who you feel like you're going to work best with. Maybe a second opinion would be good there, but yes, showing people comparables of, okay, this is a very identical house, and it's sold for this price, and giving them the information so they can see where you're coming from. And yes, every now and then you find the person that, no, I feel it's this.
They get a little stubborn.
If it's within reason, like if it's maybe justifiable, like, all right, we'll list it. But sometimes you'll have that one person that it's a $500,000 property and they want to list it at $750,000, where at that point we're just like, we appreciate the opportunity to interview with you, but you're probably best fit to work with a different realtor.
Now, when you guys are doing the market analysis, obviously you're looking at things like number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms, square footage, lot size, location, all of that. Yeah. Does the history of the home ever come into play?
Meaning history how? Like someone's been axed?
Well, maybe. That is a possibility. Yeah, absolutely.
We do not have to disclose that in Wisconsin, actually.
But then the other side of things, I think about, there's sometimes historic homes. You have an older town like Beaver Dam, there might be a historic home. Is that something that can affect the value?
I'll be honest, I don't think Beaver Dam has any, and I could be wrong on this, and I would love to be corrected if I am, any that are designated as true historical. Maybe the Swan House.
I don't know. There's definitely stuff. You'd have to check downtown with the
Historical Society.
Right.
Yeah, with Mr. Lutz.
But no, that's more the beauty in the eye of the beholder. Someone that wants something historical that way.
But condition in that way is
huge.
Is huge. Like, one thing is, we work in this general area, all of Dodge, but usually like this side of Columbia, this side of Jefferson, maybe this side of Fond du Lac counties. And we've been in, when, we use a software to put a CMA together, usually that pulls all the MLS information together for us. but we've been in almost all of the houses that we are looking at as comparable. So we know that, because some houses you have, we just sold this beautiful house on York Street. Yes, and they did everything so well. They just had their kitchen redone with these beautiful Amish built cabinets. They had a flooring guy come in and match their original hardwoods.
Oh, wow.
So they could go throughout. Yeah. So there's that, and those are important things to consider when you look at market analysis, because you have these beautiful Amish built kitchen cabinets that they just put in last year, new backsplash, all the things, but it might be the same size and age as another house that has plywood cabinets.
Right.
So those are all things that have to go into a market analysis.
Or even pictures sometimes, like Abby said, good point, having been in most of the houses, like either listed them or have shown them to potential buyers. You may be well aware that when you get downstairs, you see a whole bunch of knob and tube wiring, and the basement walls are bowing in, and things that aren't necessarily visible in photos that we've been in each house and get an idea to compare apples to apples in condition of a property we're going to list.
Right. Along those lines, has there ever been an instance where you guys have worked with somebody and you've said, hey, this is what it's valued at right now, and comparably, like, here's a house that sold for $50,000 more, but it had a redone bathroom or a redone kitchen. This is that, and people have said, well, let me do that work and I'll come back to you. I mean,
Not like a whole bathroom or kitchen, but
Right.
I would definitely say there's things. I just sent someone out a CMA last week, and we talked about, like, in its current state right now today, because there is also I think a large value to finished. Like, it's not even sometimes necessarily like that it's crown molding. It's just that the trim is on and it's done.
Yeah.
Like, there's a value in there are not projects to be done. So this couple we talked about, if you list it right as it is today, it might be this. If you finish up these few things, probably this. And the few things might cost $10,000, but might net you another $50,000 because of your presentation.
are you guys seeing a lot of people still looking for project homes, fixer-upper homes?
So like the one you mentioned on there, that was the 140 house. That would be a more of a project home, or unless someone's purchasing it to rent it out. Usually your true project homes, I don't know how to tactfully say this. Something that a flipper is going to buy, most people would not want to live in.
Yeah.
Because they need substantial amounts of updating. But like Abby mentioned, even trim, like say someone redid their living room, maybe even put in some new flooring, but they just haven't gotten to the trim around the room. That's not a huge dollar investment, but definitely, just like staging a house, definitely worth the time investment to do it so that it's done and it just shows so much better.
Interesting. I think about our house. It has some beautiful hardwood floors, and you can tell they ripped out the carpet at some point, but they never dropped the trim back down.
Oh, yeah.
So
The
there's
space
this
is
thick
there.
gap there. And I told the wife, I'm like, someday we're going to fix that because, it's going to annoy me, and sweeping underneath it and everything is a pain. But I guess that would be kind of what you're talking about then.
Yeah.
Not fixing those little things.
Yeah.
And people, it's like, I don't want to do anything, and that's great. We'll give you a number for that. We'll also give recommendations of little things like, maybe putting some quarter round back on there to cover up that gap between the trim and the actual wood floor. Like, I'm pointing the wood floor. Or maybe painting, like if you had a bathroom that is a dark burgundy, maybe painting it a lighter color. But just recommendations so people can choose to do what they would like. But those little investments of time and not a lot of big dollars do generally net you more showings and more activity on your property, which in turn nets you better offers.
Before I give my next follow-up question, I do want to remind everybody this is a paid program. Opinions expressed during the program are that of Klodowski Real Estate, not WBEV or Good Karma Brands. We obviously just came out of a couple of days of some severe weather. Now, I know first and foremost, I want to say that if anybody's had severe weather issues, you guys probably know several trusted contractors in the area. If people have questions, they can reach out to you. I'm sure you'd have some phone numbers you could share, which is great. What happens in situations, or has it ever happened in a situation where a house has been on the market, you guys are working with the person, and then severe weather hits and damage happens? What does that do to the whole process?
There is verbiage in the offer to purchase that addresses just that.
Really?
It's under a percentage. If it's under 5%,
Under 5%. So it states that the seller needs to maintain the property in the same condition as the date that the buyer wrote the offer. And if it's 5% or less of the purchase price, the damage, the seller obviously has to let their buyer know, but has the right to have that repaired prior to closing. If, say, we had a tornado and it took the roof off the house, if it's more than 5% of the purchase price, again, you're going to let your buyer know, but kind of go back to the negotiation table at that time. Like, do we need to move the closing date? Are we going to transfer some insurance money here to the buyer to take care? To figure all of that out. But, yep, standard contract language in Wisconsin.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like with our severe weather pattern, I wouldn't be surprised that it is. And hopefully if the roof comes off, they definitely want to go back to the negotiating table.
Right. And knock on wood, I've only had one, and it was a tree on a detached garage with a little bit of gutter issue. So thank goodness I've never had to go through the big ones yet.
Fairly minor. Going back to your guys' Facebook page, another thing I saw recently is the two of you actually made your way through the Leadership Beaver Dam program. What made you guys decide that you wanted to jump into that? Did you just love Beaver Dam that much, or
yes.
Pretty
course.
much.
We wanted to spend time with Tracy, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Tracy Probst from the Beaver Dam Chamber is just what a blessing, and her team. Shannon with the tourism, they are just such an asset to our community. Kudos to them. They're amazing.
Now, is this something that you guys will see as being an asset to what you guys do? Or is this more just you guys wanted to do it?
It was really, I think it is, you learn a lot about the community, which is really cool. Stuff that you just would never, we walked through Apache. In what scenario would we ever do that any other time, you know? And then we just did, we toured Cray Farms, and we did the history day with Patrick Lutz and...
Kellen? Is that his name? No.
I don't know, another guy.
Another guy, yeah.
And all those people, you just forget that all that stuff is there, and it was very cool. Something I think that we both really appreciated was learning about all of the need in our community and how we can try to. There's a lot of generous people in our community as well, and how we can try to get those two things together: the amount of need and the generous people in our community. So,
and the service organizations, it's common sense, but I didn't think of it prior. Like, a lot of our service organizations are older in age. They're not in their 20s. And how, as these people, retire from their service organizations, those spots are not being refilled, and they're going away. And it's our service organizations that do the things for the community, that give back, that make a difference, to get involved in, from Kiwanis to Optimist. What else? Rotary's a big one. So many things to get involved in our community. If you prefer to give of time instead of money, great. And there's also so many philanthropic people in our community that, the Children's Radiothon.
That's coming up soon, yeah.
Yeah, we live in such a great place, and I think it was more like we wanted to go to Leadership Beaver Dam, and learn the things. Will it be beneficial somehow to our real estate careers? Maybe, but yeah, just to know everything we can about our community.
Wonderful. Now, I know as part of that, they always make you guys do like a little project of some sort. Can I ask, what was your project?
My project was, I worked with 3 other people, and we wanted to share some common sense knowledge with youth in the community. So one night we did a cooking class and did fajitas. And then we price shopped 3 different stores to show where you buy your groceries, what your difference in what your meal would be for the exact same products. And Ed Garcia from Summit Credit Union did it, and he just had an electric griddle. And showed like even how to render the fat from the chicken to make the fajitas, and then we had a class at Jerry's Automotive where Jeremy Schultz showed the kids like a full service on a vehicle, from oil change to how your tires work, just those things that seem to be less and less. I say it's common sense,
Right.
like the things like how to check your oil at least.
Yeah, that seems like something that would be
To
important.
not open a hot radiator cap. I mean, how to change a tire.
Right. That actually makes a lot of sense. How about you, Abby?
My partner and I are working on an awareness campaign for Loaves and Fishes. So Loaves and Fishes, John and Linda Smedema, had that whole thing up, and they're looking to get an Alto Sham, which costs like $10,000, because what they do is wild. Like all of the work that they do, because they don't have like the appropriate equipment, because when they started, they weren't expecting to feed. I shouldn't say that they weren't expecting. They are surprised by how many people they're already able to serve. So I saw them post recently that they served like 762 meals one night, and they're working out of this church kitchen.
Yeah.
Right.
Which they're very grateful for, but also like they don't have the
It's not a commercial kitchen.
they don't have the equipment that they're like. They recently got something electric to mash potatoes with, but prior to that, they were just using like a giant masher. Yeah.
I mean, great for your forearm strength, right?
Yes. And they're using a bread proofer to keep things warm. So, anyways,
As long as you have the airtime, tell people how they can donate to this.
So you can always contact John and Linda Smedema. Otherwise, they have a Facebook page you can contact. They're hooked up with the Beaver Dam Area Community Foundation now. So the Beaver Dam Area Community Foundation is amazing.
Amazing.
Because they hook people up with how to handle the money. So the foundation actually handles the money. They invest the money. They get them set up with like a Facebook donation ability so that people can just, click and donate, because I myself, I want to donate to that. But like the actual writing of the
unless
check,
it's
putting it in the
instantaneous to
envelope,
click the
like
button.
I don't remember that by the end of the day. So the foundation has them set up on that. So they need about $10,000 to buy this Alto Sham, which will greatly expand their the recipes they can use, the way that they prep, all of those things.
And the Loaves and Fishes also has a Facebook page where they have an Amazon wish list where you can donate spices, garbage bags. You just click on it, use your Amazon account, and it directly ships to them. You don't have to do any of the legwork.
Yeah, and they serve a free hot meal Tuesdays at the Lutheran Church?
It's a Lutheran church. I just don't recall. Is it Peace? First, I apologize. It's on the corner of Mackey and Center Street.
Yeah.
There you go.
Street.
But
Not surprised you'd know the streets.
They don't ask you any questions. They don't. Literally, you just pull up and you get
Your meal.
You
Take
get your meal,
home. Yep.
and you can pick up meals for other people too. So it is. They literally ask you no questions, and they're. When I
They're
talked to them,
saints.
they talked about their ultimate goal is to be opening this door for important conversations. Like if someone needs some services from Dodge County, they can kind of point them in the right direction. Try to kind of fill the gap between, again, needs and those who can help fulfill them.
I mean, and you guys kind of hit the nail on the head. What a community that
Yeah.
we have here.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
live in.
sure do.
And talking about the needs for the community, to kind of bring it back around, how are the housing needs for the community looking right now?
It's tough.
I would say that sounds like a very bleak sound that you just made
it
there.
is tough.
And especially for where our rents are at, area rents. And then if someone it doesn't have an ideal credit history and are in a situation that they can't improve that anytime soon, to buy a house is difficult. And even if you get the assistance of many of the government programs, the Veterans Administration is a loan, things like that, you still have to have a reasonable credit score to be able to utilize those programs that are, zero money down loans. It's difficult.
I know somebody who has been paying a mortgage and not rent for 5+ years now. I'm kind of detached from where rent levels are at, but my oldest just graduated high school, and I said, "Great, when are you moving out?" And I'm like, "Dad, have you seen the prices of rent nowadays? Like, I need like 5 roommates. Like, it can't be that bad." And I started doing the research, and it is kind of crazy out there.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason why we decided to buy instead of continue to rent. Is it was cheaper to buy than rent. So kind of an interesting place we're at. So the market's pretty tight. You guys mentioned you have 2 homes right now, one that's coming up on the MLS soon and one that's listed right now. Everything else has accepted offers on it, and we'll hopefully all go through, I'm sure. What are we looking at for the forecast? Do you guys, have you had people show interest? Do you think we're getting better? Are we going to get more homes?
Well, we are getting more homes. I don't know. I think it's solidified that I know that Harbor Homes is doing. Is it Harbor Homes or is it their parent?
Oh, the Newman Development Group.
The Newman Development Group is doing. I know they're doing townhouses in the Don Riley Park. Is it Don Riley? No, O'Reilly.
It was Tom Riley.
Tom Riley. Something Riley parking
Right.
lot where they used to have the
It was O'Reilly, yes.
where they used to have the
Farmers Market.
farmers market. Yeah, they're doing, I think, 25. I think the goal was about 25. Last I heard, those were going to be at about 250, but we never.
Till they're on the market.
Till they're on the market,
till
you
they
just
have their
don't know,
building
yeah.
costs
Right.
and that.
Now, once those hit the market, is that something you guys would potentially be helping buyers get into? Or
We
is
do.
that-
I
okay.
just like that subdivision on the corner of Crystal Lake and Olinger. The Newman Development Group has their own listing agent, but yes, we've helped a number
Multiple
of
families,
buyers,
yeah.
purchase out there.
Now, I want to touch on something going back. It kind of ties into what you were talking about for your project that you're doing for Leadership Beaver Dam, which is the concept of common sense. For some people, buying a home, it might be their first time buying a home. They have no idea what they're walking into. And this isn't something that necessarily gets taught from, parent to child. Like, oh, this is how you buy a home, because it's always changing.
Sure. And especially
And-
if you have always lived in a rental with your parents, you may have no knowledge of that.
Right. So for this, it's not necessarily common sense, but it is information that's maybe out of people's normal daily vernacular. Coming to you is, of course, a great step to make.
And I feel like I pride myself on, we pride ourselves on having conversations with people, like not saying like, encouraging them in any way to purchase something that may not be their fit. When someone comes and they have a $350,000 pre-approval letter, pretty confident we probably all would be like, well, just so you know, we're better off probably looking a little lower, like to not be at the max of what you're pre-approved for, because you want to still, for most people, you want to still do a few things outside of being married to your mortgage.
Right.
But to answer the questions and explain, and like there are no silly questions. Even for sellers, someone that's lived in a house for 30 years, they bought it when they were 20. One, things have changed so much, but I wouldn't remember. Heck, I wouldn't remember doing it 5 years ago, 30, 50 years ago. We're happy to answer all the questions, even if it's something like, okay, I'm 50 and I'm going to retire when I'm 60 and I'm thinking about this. If they want to chat now, we're happy to chat with them so they have all of the best information they have to make their best decision, be it renting a property or buying a property.
And if you know you're not ready now, or you're not sure if you're ready now, we'll still chat with you. I feel like we are all we all really want the best for all the people.
Right.
True story.
So if someone comes to us and says, I'd like to do this, and then, we're going to hook them up with a few lenders to see where they're at. And if that's not their most beneficial move right now, and they decide, maybe we decide together, buying's not their best, that's not going to benefit them the most right now. And then they just don't. And that's okay. We are very, with the knowledge that we've gained and the things we have access to, we are very committed to doing the good.
Our tagline, we want to be your trusted real estate advisor. And like Abby said, if it's not now, if now is not your best time, we're going to be here 3 years down the road, 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road. Call any time.
I like the fact that there is a distinction there. You're not saying we want to be your trusted realtor. We don't want to be your trusted seller, or buyer, advisor. real estate advisor. And that's huge. I imagine you guys probably see plenty of people who come to you and they think they're ready to buy, they're really not. And then they come back to you a year later. They come back to you 6 months later, 2 years later, whatever.
Or even, with that person that maybe decided buying wasn't their thing right now and they're going to rent, maybe then when their mom and dad are selling their house, they call like, hey, you help my son. Da, 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 da. Yeah, we're happy to be the advisor.
I like it. Let people know, because I know we haven't even brought this up yet. We mentioned you guys' website, we mentioned Facebook. Of course, they can reach out to you at both those places, I'm sure. But if they do want to get a hold of you, what's a phone number to reach out to you guys?
Call-wise, our office phone number is 920-219-9212. And that rotates between the three of us. I believe Adam has the phone this week. So if you call and you want to speak to one of us directly and you get the other, just say, hey, can I have Chris's phone number, Abby's phone number, Adam's phone number? We have our website, KlodowskiRealEstate.com, and we also have a Facebook page, Klodowski Real Estate.
I have to imagine there are times where you guys just get stopped at and now that you're on video and people know what you look like for sure, you probably get stopped at grocery stores, bars, fish fries, you're out having dinner and people have questions. Is that okay if somebody just
Absolutely.
stops you at the Walmart and says,
Absolutely.
hey, can I, okay.
Yep.
Good to know. Good to know. If you had to give a piece of advice to somebody who's thinking about buying or selling right now, and you just had one piece of advice for either one, what would it be?
Well, call us.
I was like, wow, is it okay to say call us?
I mean, I
that's
think
a little
so.
cheesy, but I feel like that's what I'd say is call
Call us because we'll answer your questions.
Is there one question you guys get more than anything else?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either.
What about a misconception people might have about the market right now?
This is my opinion. Not the opinion.
We've
of
already given the
Karma
disclaimer.
Broadcasting.
Yep. You're good. We've given the disclaimer.
There are people that are waiting for the interest rates to go down, but in the meantime, the prices just keep going up. And again, they have to make their best decision, but perhaps better to buy now with the higher interest rate because they are likely going to come back down. Historically, they are going to come back down, whereas prices just continue to climb at a gross percentage every year.
Now, is that purely because of the availability in the market, or is there something else going on?
We don't know.
Because I know they're not finding gold in
Yes,
the walls.
availability. Buyer to the thing is that prior to this year, the National Association of Realtors says that the standard is that people live in a house. The average is 6 years. So not just the people who bought houses in 2020 have a 2.9% interest rate. Everybody refinanced. Not everybody, but a lot of people refinanced. So there are people who are, if you're still in your first home, you're not really looking to get out of your first home because, first of all, it's very competitive, and you have a 2.9% interest rate.
Right.
And your interest rate's now going to be 6.75, which you can always refinance, but a lot of people are staying in their houses
Longer.
Longer.
because of that.
They're finding ways to make it work
Yes.
rather than
Yes.
okay.
Yeah. So we don't really know.
I guess I can only imagine there's got to be people out there who, they got that 2-bedroom home because it was just them and one kid, and now they're 3 kids in. And
Abby can speak
Okay.
to exactly that.
We lived in 800 square feet with 3 children for a while.
Wow.
in a two-bedroom.
Yeah.
I think my parents' house is 750 square feet.
It was a great little house, and I
Yeah.
still love it.
I won't take anything away from that. But, I think about I've got a family of 5, and we're in 17,500 square feet. And there are times where I'm like, you're all too close to me. And they all have their own space, which is great and fine. But I'm like, you're still in my space now.
Yeah.
And,
Yep.
especially as they get older. So I can't imagine how that happened. I'm not sure I could hold out. I feel like I would have to find something
I
else.
feel like Abby was even a little sad to actually leave that house.
I really was.
you.
We
loved that house.
We tried, but it was just. Our kids have and we have 4 kids now. So
Right. What are the ages?
We have a 15-year-old
Okay.
kid who's going to be 13 in June, and then we have a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old. So that's not even room sharing.
Right.
They not realistic.
Right.
Granted, I should say we have 5 bedrooms now, and we all sleep in 2 total. So we really needed all that space.
I can understand how you made that small house work now. Kind of a mama bear thing going on. I love it. I love it. So we've talked a little bit about buying and selling. We talked about the availability. We know what's out there on the market, which is not necessarily a lot. We talked about home pricing. The last thing I want to talk about is the importance of something that we've talked about before, which is that buyer's agency. If you're looking to buy. And that's something that is always one of those little buzz things that I hear people mention, and they always forget what it means. Let's remind people what that means.
So even when you click on like a contact agent button and you are really contacting any agent, if you do not have a buyer agency agreement with them, they represent the seller. They're a sub-agent of the listing agent. They represent the seller. All realtors do have an ethics standards and a license standard that they have to be honest and forthcoming. So like as a listing agent, I listed your house and you told me a meteor came through the roof. I patched it with bubble gum, don't tell anybody. I still need to disclose that to the public. And just like when we list a house, we have to do a walkthrough of the house, and anything that the seller does not disclose that we, like right now, going through a house, like if there's water sitting in the basement and the seller did not put that on their condition report, we are required to disclose that as an adverse fact, like potential water issue in the basement because we saw water sitting in the basement.
Right.
Where was I going? I'm totally lost now. I got carried away.
We in buyer agency, we work for the buyer, not for the seller.
And yes, and you sign a form, and like then when you have a buyer agent, they can give you recommendations on like price points and the benefits of having a home inspection or not having a home inspection or having some buffer amount in there. When you have a buyer, no matter what agent you're working with as a buyer, you want them to do their best to be available as soon as you are available to get in a newly listed property because you want to be one of the first there to check it out. But represents you, and then like if you have a home inspection, they can give you recommendations and information to propose back to the seller to negotiate for price or things like that. You have your own person representing you.
Now, I guess a follow-up question to that would be if, let's say you've been working on trying to get somebody into a house, they get the home inspection, it doesn't end up working out. They don't like what they see in the inspection. They can't come to the table and agree on stuff. You've already seen an inspection on that home. So if you then work with another person who's a buyer agency, can you mention what was in that inspection?
It's the law that the other agent, the listing agent, has to disclose everything on that report.
If the seller does not.
Yeah.
Technically, if the seller has a buyer that has a home inspection and it falls apart on that, they don't come to a mutual agreement, the seller should be amending their condition report to disclose any defects that were discovered in that inspection that they have not since had repaired. And if the seller does not, the listing agent should add an adverse fact sheet to the transaction showing what things were noted that would be defects.
I guess something I hadn't thought to ask before, but is there like a list of approved terminology? Like, let's say there's lead paint. Do they have to say, like, there's lead paint? Or can they be like, paint pre-1960?
There is a separate form in the United States called the Addendum S that addresses lead-based paint. Any house built 1978 or prior has to have this form attached with your listing. If the seller has tested for lead-based paint and they have knowledge of it, you put that in there. If they have not tested, you can speculate, but they do not have confirmed knowledge that it's lead-based paint. Then the buyer has the option of deciding if they would like to have a lead-based paint test done with their purchase. I've never had anyone do one before.
Same.
Prior agents I've worked with, they've never had anyone do one, but they do have that option, and that's a federally required form.
Right. I mean, and how often are the kids chewing on the windowsills, right?
Right.
So
I
you're
suppose if you were going to
probably-
open an in-home licensed daycare, yes, you probably need to have the paint tested for lead.
Right. I appreciate just how absolutely upfront and honest you guys are about all this stuff. You guys are very, very good about that. I imagine there are times where maybe that comes across for some people as maybe a little abrasive because they're like, whoa, don't tell me, but
Sure.
Information's better than not, right?
Yeah, information and integrity. Yeah, absolutely. Because, our name's on the sign. So if we want to live the integrity route to when people see the Klodowski real estate sign, they know that they're dealing with an honest person.
That's awesome. And you really hit the nail on the head there when you said the word integrity, your name being behind it. It's not, AAA Realty. It's not,
Yep.
XYZ, whatever. It's your name.
Yep.
That's what's on the business card. That's what's on the sign. That's what everybody's going to see. Remind everybody again as we're winding up here because we are hitting the end of the show, which has gone by really fast today. Remind everybody again how they can get a hold of you guys, all the different methods, and make sure that everybody has that cemented in their brain.
Got it. KlodowskiRealEstate.com is our website. Again, you can register on there. We will not be beating down your door to contact you. Klodowski Real Estate, we have a Facebook page, and our office phone number is 920-219-9212. And if you reach one of us and want another one of us, just ask that person to pass you along.
Right. You said Adam's got the phone now, which
Adam has
obviously
the phone
neither
this
of you
week.
are
Yep,
Adam.
yep.
So if you hear a guy answer the phone, you know it's Adam. But he can direct you to wherever.
Correct.
Perfect. That's perfect. I want to thank you guys again for coming on and for being a part of the show and for sharing so much information with us. And it's become a guilty pleasure to watch your guys' Facebook page for little things that pop up. So I even watched your whole tour you did of the house, and I was like, you do a pretty good job with that. Was that done with a cell phone?
Yeah, just my iPhone. Yeah.
So you did a good job. You did a good job.
Thank
Go check that out if you're looking for some fun video to watch. So I want to thank you guys for being on the show.
We appreciate it.
And I look forward to having you guys back again soon.
Thanks.
Thank
Awesome.
you so much.
Thank you. This has been a paid program. The opinions expressed during the program are that of Klodowski Real Estate, not necessarily WBEV or Good Karma Brands.